You know, Malcolm, before we had a kid, one of the things that I heard most commonly about parenting was that parent shaming was really common. Like mothers would be bullied by other mothers in schools, or like if you ever were seen doing something wrong, like for example, right now I'm feeding our baby as he's on his back, and most people advocate for feeding babies in a sitting up position, then I would get judged for that negatively, or even just for feeding him formula, God forbid, and not breastfeeding. And people talk about that like it's a really big deal, and
we haven't posted all these videos yet. So this is part of the set of videos we filmed before we started posting any of them. So who knows what our comments are going to be like. I proposed to you on Reddit, and we had people sending us death threats over that, like just a holistically nice thing. I totally anticipate
but I think parents who live
a lot of shaming over this.
Totally offline lives
still feel shamed a lot.
But here's my theory about parental shaming, is that it doesn't actually happen
that much. You think it's people feeling guilty? Like
it's people judging themselves or feeling that they're not living up to a certain standard.
Yeah, if you read forums about like fat shaming and stuff like that, and you read the shame that a lot of these people believe that's being thrown their way, and you realize it doesn't sound like that other person even noticed them.
Yeah, it's more that people feel embarrassed and self-conscious about their own perceived failings. And I mean, the reason why, for example, I'm feeding him on his back is he won't eat any other position. But I think a lot of parents will look at things like that, know that they know better. Like, I'm feeding him on his back, but I know better. I should be feeding him sitting up. Therefore, I must not be feeding him correctly. Therefore, I'm a bad parent just inherently. And then the only way that we can really justify that is to imply that other people are bullying us in some way. Because I think it's very hard for us to say that we're just paranoid and finding reasons to feel bad about ourselves. Yeah.
Wow. But here's an alternate explanation, and I have two alternate explanations, okay?
Okay.
I believe that parent shaming may be a real phenomenon within certain communities.
Oh.
And these are communities of people who have friends. We don't bother with that.
Oh no, gosh, no.
Can you imagine being burdened with friendship?
We don't have time for that. No, it could
No,
be
but-
a dominance hierarchy in a very expensive private preschool.
It could be a way for mothers to climb their local dominance hierarchy by showing either free time or wealth in the way that they shame other people, to show how much leisure time they have, to show that
So
they're
it's a
superior
status
parent.
signaling thing. Yeah, because
It
for
could
example,
be.
breastfeeding is so time consuming that it would make a lot of sense that someone would use that to show, like, I have a ton of money and stuff.
Or here's an alternate. Maybe the people shaming are actually doing it to psychologically protect themselves.
Oh, because they experience that same phenomenon of feeling guilty about not...
They feel guilty about the amount of time or money they're investing in a specific style of parenting.
Huh.
And to not feel guilt around that, they need to actively receive social reinforcement from their friend groups and from other people. So they will shame other mothers for doing things that they are not willing to, or that they feel that they might be over-investing in.
Oh, so it goes both ways. So not only do some parents perhaps feel bad about not parenting well enough, some might worry that they're overdoing it to the point where...
Well, think about breastfeeding, right? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
that's one of the major reasons why many
Oh
parents
yeah,
who
so
breastfeed shame.
when I did pump and breastfeed our baby, I did feel really irritable when doing it because I knew that I could be doing so much productive work.
And she had to stop because she had osteoporosis, so it's not something that she really had a choice over.
Yeah, but even if I had kept doing it, I would just be furious with myself.
And you'd want to shame the women who weren't doing it because the back of your head.
How else do I justify all the time I'm
there should be
spending?
some social cost for them not spending that time.
Yeah.
There should be some social cost for them getting an advantage over you that you don't have. And then the final methodology, well, I guess so that's sort of two things there. One is applying a social cost to people who aren't investing the time in doing the style of parenting you're doing. And then the other is making up for the time that you're spending on it. And then another is that they may genuinely believe you're hurting your child.
There's a lot of, that is one thing that I've noticed is from our experience as parents, but there are parents who just genuinely believe we are like going to murder our child by feeding him formula or something like that.
Yes, or anything we do as parents. We may be weird people, and they're just like, you have ruined that that child?
Yes.
He's spending all time with you and you haven't given him to an expert? Or we leave him apart from us for a day? Oh, what did my mom, she asked for pictures of him. And she saw he didn't have enough toys. And what did she say?
Oh, that he's growing up like a Romanian orphan.
And then she started sending us a bunch of articles about how Romanian orphans didn't have enough contact after a bunch of their parents were killed in some war.
Yeah.
And that it caused developmental, problems. And she goes, this is exactly, that child only has one toy within arm's reach. Complete developmental problems, complete developmental breakdown.
Yeah, no, it's true. So I would say then to people who feel as though they are either being bullied or shamed as a parent or just perceiving it and maybe bullying themselves.
Don't be such a weak person. This isn't high school.
Oh gosh,
Grow
no.
up. It doesn't matter. The reason why people shame in the first, well, another reason people shame is gossip sharing, right? So they're trying
it feels good. Yeah.
They're trying to share information within their friend group because they believe they can gain some social status from it. And the reality is that these groups of parents who are doing stuff like that, they probably don't matter. They probably don't really matter. And if they do matter to your long-term goals, because I don't know, you're at some rich boarding school or something like that, well then figure out some way to fake it and then you shame them and play that little hierarchy game.
Yeah, or just acknowledge that people are afraid and trying to protect themselves, that you are afraid and trying to protect yourself. And the most important thing is that if you're a parent, you raise a healthy, safe child that's able to develop normally. And as long as you are giving them the resources that longitudinal research has shown is important. No, I think people need to get over themselves. And I think to a great extent, parenting helps people get there. But to a certain extent, we need to let each other focus on the important things.
Yes. So feel free to shame us, is what you're saying. We don't get to complain about all we're never going to get to do the video about it. Oh, the death threats. Oh, I'm so scared of the internet, people.
No, we're not allowed to whine unless it's very interesting, but that's for another time.